Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Reginald Drummer, the peopleologist, coming to you live this Sunday with our We Are Ready uh, podcast. I encourage everyone to like us, share, and subscribe over here to Square Mile Media Atlanta. It's a platform in which we share with a couple others. We're about to reach our 100th episode, but we need a lot of subscribers and we need to get those likes and get those notifications in. You can also play a lot of our back episodes, see some of the things we've discussed over the last uh, almost 100 episodes in different manners. And you can share it with your friends and family. One of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is credit and debt. Credit and debt. I'll be joined by a credit consultant. She'll be joining us in a minute or two, but I'm going to give you a couple of things real quick. This is something I want this to sink in. There are two ways to conquer and enslave a nation of people. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. There are two ways to conquer and enslave a nation of people. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. There are two ways to enslave and conquer a nation of people. One is by the sword, and the other is by debt. That's from John Adams, 1826. So they was ahead of the game. When we look at our credit, it affects so much. Your credit affects everything we do. It affects our lives. It affects where we live. It affects how we live. It affects how you work. Your credit and debt ratio will determine can you work at certain places. It'll determine where you eat. It will determine what you eat. Your credit and your debt ratio can determine whether you eat food that is healthy for you or you just eat food that you can afford. It'll determine where you sleep and how you sleep. A lot of people, one of the biggest things is staying up at night worrying about, guess what? Debt and credit. It determines where you go and how you go. It determines what you drive, what type of vehicle is determined by your credit and your debt. Your insurance, whether it be health, homeowners, car insurance, is determined by your credit worthiness. Your health and the amount of quality of health that you can get is determined by your credit worthiness. Uh, your relationships is determined by debt and credit. Many relationships fold because of debt and credit. Your education level is determined by debt and credit. Your educational level is determined by debt and credit. So these are some things that are very critical when we start to approach uh, this thing called credit and debt. I'll be joined by a special guest. She'll be joining us in a second. Her name is Miss Simone Whatley. She
Mhm.
was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and relocated to Atlanta, Georgia in 2003. After receiving her bachelor's degree in business administration in 2007, she graduated from the Interdenominational Theological Seminary with a master's in divinity. In the same year, she was licensed as a minister of the gospel and started an outreach program for women in the struggle. Women in the struggle. A nonprofit for ministry reached out to homeless women to reconnect them back to society. Ms. Watley is an entrepreneur and loves to discover other endeavors to help herself and her community. She attended a financial empowerment at a church one time, and one of those seminars was credit repair. After attending this seminar, she decided to invest in her own financial future to get her credit fixed. This led her to grow in the knowledge uh, of credit repair and put her in position so she could help as many others as possible. Ms. Whatley started SDW Credit Consulting Service in 2021. She was successful, helping numerous clients restore their credit and looking forward to helping more. Miss Whatley, how you doing this evening,
Um,
my
I,
sister?
I am well. I am well, Brother Drummer, and thank you again for inviting me onto your show. I really appreciate it. I love sharing about any topic that's going to help our community, especially when it comes to with the credit. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're welcome. You know, we put a quote out there earlier. I don't know if you heard us, but it was from John Adams. They heard me repeat it about 3 or 4 times, but it said there are two ways to control, conquer, or enslave a nation of people. One is by the sword, and the other is by debt. So, debt and credit, we see a lot of that going on now. But maybe you can drop some things on us. Uh, we live in a society where people, uh, everything is affected by credit, but we live in a society where people are are not getting out of debt.
Yeah.
They feel stuck. They feel helpless. People get credit cards and credit cards go up on them. They don't have the ability to pay them, especially after this pandemic or pandemonium. A lot of people just not in position of strength to come out of these situations. But can you share with us some things about the power of credit? And we'll just let you soft it in there for a little bit, but just the power of credit, just to let people know how important it is.
It is important, and I did hear part of when I was logging in. I did hear part of what you were sharing with the audience on the importance of credit. Is so important in these days and times, and unfortunately, if you are people of color, we wasn't taught much about credit, especially going in school, in middle school, high school. We might have been taught about finance to operate someone else's business or prepare us to for the workforce, but they never really touched on the importance of credit. I'm not sure. I know where I come from, they didn't, and my parents knew little about it. And so I was fortunate enough to become a part of the body of Christ, where my pastor emphasized about education, emphasized about being financially free, and most importantly, lining yourself up to be able to be in a position. Whereas if you need to, if you want to buy a home, if you want to buy a car, and not just buy these things, but to buy it where you're not paying high interest. And so, in order to avoid paying high interest, you have to have good credit. And that's just so unfortunate. You have to have good credit. And so I know you mentioned swimming in debt. It happens. People do get in debt, regardless of, we're not going to do the blame game, because if you're black and you know it, clap your hands. Some of us is just not making enough money on the job. And yeah, we find ourselves swimming in a lot of debt, but, just take a couple of deep breaths, because, we understand a struggle. That's one thing we do understand. We understand a struggle, and we know that whatever situation we find ourselves in, it's not going to kill us. It's going to make us wiser. It's going to make us stronger. And so we'll know next time, how to be better at whatever we found ourselves getting into. And so, yes, I do have a couple of nuggets I would like to share with your community on how to, first of all, the importance of it, how, if you find
Okay.
yourself in it, drowning in it, how to get out of it. And even I dropped some nuggets on how to begin to increase your credit score on this even today. Some, is a lot of credit consulting services that's out there. And people say, oh, you don't have to pay nobody. And you don't have to pay nobody. You could actually do it yourself. That will be even better if you can take the time and work on your credit, because now you are involved in what's actually on your credit. You are involved in monitoring it, which is so important, because identity theft is on the rise again.
Well, let me put
And
in this
so
more.
But like so many people, they just don't have the time. They don't have the time. They don't, probably don't know all the ins and outs on what to look for on their credit report. So I would, compare it to like, okay, I know how to do, I could do my taxes, but I'd rather pay somebody, a professional, to do my taxes because they know all the laws about it. So I could sit there and learn all the laws about it and do myself, but I just don't have the time. So I'd rather pay someone to do it. Now, if so wherever you find yourself, rather you want to do it yourself, or if you want to hire somebody to do it, or even need somebody to walk you through it, is so many people, especially myself, to help you to be able to become financially liberated, free, out of debt. And it'll take some time because your finances is you this is your investment on your finances, to be able to say, okay, I'm financially free. I can make whatever move I need to, rather if I want to, put my children through college, or if I want to, buy the extra house, whatever it is, what you want to do, you have to have your ducks lined up, especially the start of it all is being um credit worthy. Just to be credit worthy.
Well, we had a question out of the audience. What's because people get the thing, what's the credit score? What's a credit score, and what's a good credit score, and what's a poor credit score?
Okay, so and that's a good question because there are different uh, allegories of, if I may say, or they got so many different types of systems that they use to um, average your credit. The most popular is the score 8, the credit score 8, where it's they average it from being down to zero all the way to 800, your credit score all the way at 800. Most clients that came to me had a score of 400. And I'm gonna tell you, we got into it. They put in place the things that I've taught them, and they started doing they due diligence as I was highlighting all the negative items that they had on there, and I submitted them to the credit report. And I'm gonna tell you, from a 400 credit score, one of my clients, all the way up to a 700, and that client is no longer a client of mine's. He have went on, and that's the goal. The goal is to not to have you as a customer forever, but to have you as a customer temporarily, so you could become successful, and that you can refer other customers to me so I can help them as well. But the credit score, a good credit score is 800. You can have a decent interest rate at 600 and above. But if you're at a 600 and you're trying to purchase a house, I would just say just hang on in there. Let's get you to the 700s, or at least the 690s and up, to get you a good interest rate if you're trying to purchase a house or car. At least the mid 600s and up. So 600, 700, 800s, even better. Some you get you could get pre-approved for a car with zero interest, but you probably want to pay down, pay something on it. If not, you can take advantage of that zero interest. Some dealers offer that, and because of that, you can roll. I mean, I've driven off the lot a couple of times with no money down, and very,
Wow.
very low interest. Yes, but so yes, you will want the higher the credit score, the better the interest rate. Hmm.
Ah. Mm. And I know sometimes when people uh we know when people get into debt, or they're in a situation, a lot of people tend to say, well, I'm gonna just put it on my credit card. Now some people pay their credit card off in 30 days. And then
Hmm.
some people uh pay the minimum. And then some people run late. Uh is there advantage of paying the card off early? I mean within a time period
Yeah, let me
versus
just
paying the minimum?
absolutely. Let me just say this, that having a credit card is you have a great advantage, especially if it's a credit card that brings you cash back or miles points. When those miles, let's say you could use for like what mine's, I have American Express Platinum, and every time I make a purchase or if I pay a bill with it, it accumulate miles for me. So whenever I'm ready to take a trip, I can use those miles to purchase my ticket, or I can use the miles to maybe upgrade to another seat, maybe first class, which everybody, at their different levels and things. But those are the benefits of miles. With cashback, I know you see some of the commercials with like Chase cashback and Apple have cashback cards as well. So if you make a purchase or if you pay a bill, you automatically accumulate cash back on those cards, where the cash back begins to accumulate, and you can use that money to either withdraw it to go back into your bank account, or you can use it to connect with like some of the purchases online that's connected, like Amazon partners with a lot of company cards that has cash back. But let me just say this, and you got to hear me clear with this. Please hear me clear with this. I was taught by the best, and this gentleman helped clean up my credit back in 2019. I was in a bad position. I was just so miserable, and I just wanted to hear I just went to church just to hear um, Bible, and I wanted, because I needed to hear the word of God. And my pastor at the time, he said, well, we having a financial seminar. We're going to do breakup groups. If you want to learn about investment, if you want to learn about credit. I mean, he did breakup groups, and I became so angry. I was about to just storm out of the church because I was in a broken place. And so, as I was going out to church, something just detoured me to the credit section. And that was a room, it was full of people, and they was giving their testimonies about how their credit was restored. And this gentleman been working with the church for several weeks, and I'm just knowing about it. I'm like, oh my goodness. And so I sat in the back, and as I listened, and I asked the question. I was very bitter at the time, and I was like, well, how much you cost? He said, don't worry about it, just come on down to the office. And I said, well, what are your business hours? He said, just come whenever you're ready. Just come. And so I said, shoot. I mean, I was just so upset. So I decided the following day, I went down there, and the office was packed of church folks, packed. And they had a system going. And as I sat with one person, he pulled my credit, he highlighted, and he taught me on how to manage. He said, you got a credit card here. This is what you need to do. This is how you need to pay down your credit. This is what you need to stay away from. And so during the course, I remember starting on my dad's birthday, which was April 24th, 2019. And every 30 days, when you go, my first day there, they highlighted everything. It was like it was just so organized, very organized. And then he gave me my packet, and I mailed it off. And then as I mailed, and 30 days later, I got information back, and I went back to him. I said, here go my information. And he highlighted whatever else needed to be highlighted and what didn't come off. And he sat with me and continued to consult me about my credit and what I was doing right and what else I still needed to do. And this went on from April to October. I'm gonna tell you, I started off with my credit scores, all three was in the 500s. I'm not ashamed to say it. It was terrible. But by October, I was already sitting in 700s. So everybody's situation is different. Everybody's situation is different, and it does take time and patience. And so, and it also takes, I had to do the work as well. So what he was teaching me, I had to make sure that I was doing my part, and I was doing my part. And that's how I was able to help with bringing my scores up. And so, and just let me say this, this is one of the things he taught me. He said, do not spend what you don't have in the bank. That was deep, because some of us women, let me say, men are better disciplined when it comes to spending than women. We see some shoes and we like, oh wait, but do I got that the amount of what those shoes cost? Do I have it in the bank? Although I have credit, do I have that money in the bank is the question. And if I don't have the money in the bank, I'm going to have to wait until I get that money. Because he said, what you do is, when you make a purchase on your credit card, the money that's in your bank, you turn around and you pay it off. It's so important to pay it off. You want to pay off your balance every month because that brings your score up. Now, let's just say, hypothetically, because things do happen, let's just say, you got in a crunch and you paid your light bill and you paid your phone bill, but all of a sudden this unexpected you know bill came up where your car needed service. Okay, and so the car maxed out your credit card. Let's say your credit card was $300. Let's just say the credit was given, it was $300. And so your minimum payment may be like 25, and so you paid that $25. Well, let me just say this:
Okay.
because you've been so disciplined and been paying your card off every month, your score going to get hit. It's going to go down because, for one, you over the 30% percentile. The 30%
Say that again.
the 30% percentile. So if you only pay your minimum balance, let's say if you maxed it out, or if you use the
Mm,
majority of it and you only make a minimum payment, then you went below your 30% percentile. It's two important dates you need to remember. Got to remember this. And that is your due date and your closing statement date. Very important two dates that you need to remember. And you find that on you could call your credit card company, your mortgage company, even your whoever holds the your car note, whoever your lender is, and just ask them, say, when is my closing statement date? They'll tell you. It closes every month. Those two dates are so important. Let's say, for example, you had an emergency and you did max out your credit card, and and you was only able to pay the $25. And let's say your credit limit was 300. You max it out, right? And you only paid
right.
$25. Well, you have a couple of days after your due date to pay the either the rest or get it below the 30%. So 300,
Um.
if your credit limit is $300, 30% of that is 90. So you need to get it down, that you need to get that balance down at least $89 is what you owe. Let's say that. And so it won't
Okay.
be such a struggle on your credit or your credit score. Okay. So those two important dates is so important, is your due date and your closing statement date. And what you want to do is you want to pay as much as you can on that closing statement date, before the closing statement
Okay.
date. And also, if
Okay.
you want, if you're, and this is what I want to share as well, if you have like a car note or a mortgage and your scores are struggling, if you want to start seeing your scores go up, let me tell you something. Pay a little bit more before the closing statement date. It'll eat up the interest.
Okay.
And as it eat up the interest, it decreases your principal, and you will start seeing your score go up. It's a game.
Mm,
It's
right.
this credit thing is
Well.
a game, and you just got to learn it.
mm, Well, let me put this out there, because some people think that credit card companies, and some of them do, they, especially I guess since the '80s, when people first started getting cards and bling and blinging. But these companies have found ways to get people. A person, holidays, a person try to pay their bill off early. Next thing you know, they get caught up and then they get penalized. Now, some people have been so penalized they went up on the interest rate of their credit card. Is that something that happens, or do you see that in the credit card industry?
Well, they did put a notice out. Now, some credit cards, the interest rates did go up. It did go up. But I
Hmm.
think Apple, their interest rate went up. But just let me say this: there's companies out there that would negotiate. They call themselves negotiating with you to help you clear up if you got high credit card debt. They say, oh, well,
Hmm.
we won't loan you the money, but we would just talk to the creditors. You could do that yourself. You could do that yourself. I promise you.
Okay.
You could call them up and say, hey, I found myself in a little, tight situation. Is it possible that you can lower my interest rate at least for a couple months or whatever? Or would you lower whatever? You could talk to the credit card companies, your lender, whoever your car is financed with, or if your mortgage. Always, please, always stay in communication with the debt collectors. Always do not avoid them, because what you do not want to do is get a 30-day on
Okay.
your 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day. That's why it's so important to stay in communication with them, see whatever they can work out with you, and they'll be willing to work out with you. But most, I don't know of any good credit card companies
Mm.
that will penalize
Hmm.
you if you pay off early. I don't know. And now
Okay.
those might be some other kind, but you can always, before you open up one, to make sure you check the fine print, and always you can always give them a call and ask. But I'm gonna tell you, like those credit card companies like Chase, Capital One, you can
Hmm.
always call them up. Apple got a card out now. Um, Discover, American Express, but you don't need all. You just need one good card. You don't need all those
Okay.
cards. One good card, and just work that one good card. And let me just say this, brother Drummer. I want to encourage people. When
Mm.
it comes to secure cards is you using your money towards the towards the card, and so you swipe your card. They say, "Oh, my credit score will go up." Yeah, that's true. But when your credit is cleared up and your score go up, it's also building credit history. So if it's building credit
Okay.
history, it's tying in your money. You have to put down a deposit with the secure card, and then when you put down this deposit, then they send you the card, and then you're able to shop or do whatever you want on the card, and you just pay it off, and that's what builds your credit, your credit worthiness with that company. However,
Okay.
when your credit is restored and you got the big boys or the big girl credit cards like American Express, Discover, or Chase, or Apple, or whatever cards like that, you ain't gonna want that no more. You gonna want your $300 or $500 back. But then it's gonna be hard for you to close it. And the reason being,
Mm.
if when you close it to get your deposit back, it's gonna hit your credit history. So that's why I try.
Mm.
I tell my clients, do not open up a secure card. Let's work this thing together, and in a couple of months, you get whatever card that you want. It'd be
Mm.
up to you
Okay.
which one you want to sign up for. Stay away from secure cards.
Wow. And are those? And sometimes people ask. I know sometimes we have relationships with banks. Some people don't like banks. Some people prefer credit unions. Um, and I know they have several cards that are online. Several companies. Now, some of those companies have people uh, by the throat because they have them, you know, opt in to get a credit line. Maybe it's a secured card or something like that. And then they end up uh, trying to pay them. I had a friend that was calling me. Uh, he said, man, because he got to get that money in there before a certain date, or they gonna do uh, a balloon penalty on him. You know, they're gonna
Mm.
either
A
have him
balloon
default
interest.
on the card, right? The balloon interest, or they are even having default on that particular credit uh, situation. But is there anything that people can do to kind of uh, avoid? I know you said keep the card down to, you know, 30%, but are there, my remedy always been either stop spending or make more money. That was always my logic. If you got a hole, you can't fill it, either stop spending the money or go out and make some more money. Uh,
Yeah.
that's the only way I know to get out of there. I say either I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop spending.
It's good to have more than one stream of income. The
Hmm.
expert says at least seven streams of income coming in. And that's just so unfortunate that you got to have, and they don't all have to be managed by you, but at least have more than
Hmm.
one coming in, just in case something does happen. You can get into like investing, or you can get into like um, you know, like purchasing stocks, or just have some people go drive Uber or Lyft if they have the ability to, or do DoorDash, and just some sort of additional income coming in until you can get to the financial place where you're comfortable and you won't need that. But it's always good to just look into additional streams of income, so in case that crunch do come up, you still have income coming in, so that will
Okay.
help. And of course, during this recession that we're moving deeper into, it's good to go to your boss, if you're working for someone, to see about a, a raise. You could ask them for a raise. It's,
Might as
it's
well.
it wouldn't hurt, but because
Right.
the market is so open for employment, and your
Mm,
employer really don't want to lose you, so
right.
it's not a bad idea. And then maybe cut back on the spending. Say, okay, we can't be ordering out. If I get my receipts for everything. Everything is a receipt for me. I don't care if I spent a penny, I'm getting my receipt. You just never know what's on those receipts. But if you added up
Okay.
how much that you spend on like takeouts, or coffee, or whatever your niche is that you have to grab in the morning, and you add it up, you be like, goodness gracious, that's a lot of money. I'm part of this women empowerment, financial empowerment group, and she was like, okay,
Hmm.
y'all go through y'all budget and find some money. And I was just in awe
Hmm.
the amount of money that I found in what I was spending every month,
Mm,
what I was spending every month, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So just to be able to say, okay, well, we can't have this, we're not eating out no more, and I
mm,
challenged myself for 30 days, and I was able to put that money in away, and just see it grow, you know and so it's just, I want to challenge your listeners to just go through your budget, go through your bank statements, and see where your money's going, and how much
right.
you can save by just saying, you know what, I don't need that $8 a day coffee. So 8 8 60 24 32 $40 a week on coffee.
Wow.
$40. And you
Yeah.
some people, I'm just, and it may be more than that, I don't know. But you
Oh
just
yeah,
have
it
to
can
go
get up
through
there.
your you have to go through that and see. And instead of ordering out for lunch, make your lunch, you know
Wow.
and you'll be surprised how much money you'll find in your budget when you start cutting out some of the things. Do I need to go out this week? And to some of y'all brothers, do I need to go out to the strip club and spend my half of my check? Come on now. So I don't know if that's your audience, but I do know, I'm just saying, like, those sisters need to work too. They need the money, but I'm just saying just how much money you save, much money you
Right.
would save, especially during this recession that we're going
Well,
in.
well, I know I was part of a ministry, and the pastor actually called a spending fast. He said, "We
Hmm.
okay, we've done the food fast. Most folk was comfortable with the food fast, but we went on the spending fast, you know, and part of it I always remember. He said, either figure out a way to reduce costs, stop costs, share costs, eliminate, you know, costs, and for 30 days, and you'd be surprised how much, like you say, how much money you save, how much money
Hmm.
you accumulate. This is if you can't generate any extra money. You can't generate any extra money. You have to figure out a way to stop spending. It's like the United States government; they keep printing money, but
Hmm. They
unfortunately,
can
we
make their
can't.
money. Right,
They can make
exactly.
their money,
Hmm.
and even
Hmm.
United States will find a way to get some part-time income, whether it be selling arms or drugs. But so
Yeah.
as regular people, we have to figure out ways, especially with the economy like it is, uh, ways to either. Uh, I know some people are teaming up, buying in bulk, doing membership,
Yeah.
where they save money on buying a lot of items as a collective, as a group. Uh, and do those just for instance, if you got one person that's got a great credit score, that person should be buying everything versus the person that's got a jacked up score. I've seen some cultures where they bring grandmama and big, they folk in there on super coupon days just to save money, just to save money. Uh, but does that help? Can you actually save your way to a better credit score?
Well, can you save your way? Well, you got two different things going on here. You got not spending, and then
Okay,
your credit. So what you could do, and this is what I do, I just my light bill, my phone bill, my internet bill. I just pay I use my credit cards to pay those bills, and the money that's in my
hmm,
debit card of my bank account, I just turn around and pay it right on off. So they'll see that I'm still using the cards. I'm accumulating my points or my miles, and I'm being very
okay,
responsible. So although what will boost the score is as I continue to maintain a good credit worthiness of paying on time, and then a credit mix will help boost the score. A credit
mm,
mix is okay. So we see that Mr. Drummer is doing very good with his credit cards. So let's add to the mix a car note. We see he's doing very good with the car note. So let's see how well he does with a personal loan. So Mr. Drummer takes out a personal loan. We see he's doing very good with a personal loan. You are building your credit mix. That helps boost your score as well. And so from your credit cards, you're doing well, the car note, you're doing well, the personal loan, you're doing well. So now Mr. Drummer is ready to go here and purchase a home. And because your they look at your credit worthiness and your credit mix, they say, oh, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and issue him the loan for rather the mortgage for his home. You see, is other pieces that go in it as well, but that credit mix is going to determine the interest rate on that home. And you want a low interest
okay.
rate. You want a low
Wow.
interest rate on your home and your car. And of course your credit cards, but the credit cards is going to be a bit high. But you definitely want a low interest rate. Anything, I would say anything lower, if you could get a good score of whew, 5%, 4%, 3%, those are good,
Hmm.
you know?
Okay,
Interest rates. Anything under
okay,
5% is doggone good. Some may argue you have because financial professionals may say, lower than that, or they say, oh, you could do good with 10. I'm like, 10 is kind of high, so
okay.
but I would say anything below a 5% interest rate is doggone good. hmm
Mm,
Yeah, but that's considered a credit mix when you have different um different areas of credit that's a part of the mix. Your credit card, your car note, personal loan, and then you want to add to the mix a mortgage is a good credit mix.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Because they want to see how you
Uh,
manage those. Mm-hmm.
for people on fixed income, you know, I've got people that getting their disability, they're getting their social security, and they also getting some type of retirement. But their debt ratios, because of medical problems, some people have gone through divorces, lifestyle changes, and things of that nature. Uh, is it any special advice to our seniors, people 60 plus like myself?
Yeah, absolutely. There's good news if you have like any type of medical debt. There is good
Mm-hmm.
news. Actually, July of this month of 2022, this year, Congress have passed a law that stated if you have credit card debt that you paid off, instead
Mm-hmm.
of waiting 7 years, it has to come off now. They're not going to have you waiting seven
Wow.
years anymore. And if you have credit, if your credit card debt is 500 or below, they will not post that on your credit as well. It will not show up. It should not show up on your credit. Now that goes into effect 2023. However, if you have a if like a if you receive a hospital bill that's under $500 and they post it on your account,
Mm-hmm.
your three credit bureaus, you can challenge that now, and they
Okay.
have to take that off. So but as
Mm.
far as you have some seniors who are on fixed income, and they need to get out of debt. I would say try the snowball effect. The snowball
What's that?
effect, I love the snowball effect because let's say you have a couple of credit cards or you have some bills that you need to really work on. I would say the most highest bills, even if it's over 30%, that's okay. Just pay the minimum balance on those high bills, and the one that's the lowest, let's say for example you got there's a bill for $300, there's another bill for 1,000, or like another bill for 1,500. You want to pay the minimum balance on the one for 1,000 and 1,500, but the one that's for 300, you want to make sure that you pay as much as you can every month on that, to get that bill down,
Okay. Mm.
and then once that bill is cleared, then you want to do the next for the 1,000. You want to pay the minimum balance on the 30 on the one for 1,500, but you want to pay a little bit extra on the one for $1,000 to get that down. That's the snowball effect. And then once that is cleared up, then you want to do it for the next, as much as you can. You will have to like people that's on fixed income, you will have to, sit down with your, sit down and just write out all of your expenses on one side, and then write out how much
Mm-hmm.
money you have coming in on another side and add it up.
Okay.
And you write with that debt to income ratio, because that's another thing that they will consider whenever you're trying to buy a house. They will look at the debt that's on your credit report. They ain't gonna look at your light bill, your cable bill. They're gonna only look at the debt that's on your credit report. So like if you got a loan, if you got a credit card, if you got a car note, those are the things that they're gonna look at. And of course they're gonna consider, I think rent, or if you have a mortgage on there, but they only going to look at the debt that's on your credit report to determine the debt to income ratio. So it's important to
Mm.
get as
Okay.
much debt as you can off, get it down. So if you want to purchase a
Okay.
home, or if you want to buy a car, your debt is will be a lot less than what you're bringing in. You want to bring in more than how much debt that you currently have.
Wow.
Mm.
And for young people out there, a lot of our young people, they starting to come in the door. Young people getting credit cards at 18. Uh, some of them already, you know, got a jacked up credit score, whether it be in high
Yeah.
school. By the time they enter college, they got the student loans going. And uh, is there any help for? Because I know people that have daughters and sons in that age group, and they say, "I don't know what I'm gonna do, drummer." They just got in debt, and they get frustrated. They can't study. They got more people calling them for money than their parents
Yeah.
ever had.
And that is so unfortunate, because again, our parents can't teach us what they don't know. when it comes to credit. And so
Mm,
that so they
okay.
their young adult is going into college thinking that, okay, I'm gonna get this credit card and I'm gonna go buy whatever I want, and they don't know. They don't know how to use it. You don't know the power that's in your hand. So whenever I see young adults, I try to empower them. I really do. I really try to
Okay.
empower them. What you're gonna tell your 20-year-old, what you're gonna tell your older self. What is this you're gonna tell your older self in reference to your finances? You know, and I also tell them, especially 18, 19-year olds,
Okay.
20-year-old, 21. I said, two powerful things. There's two things that make um that will make you a very powerful person. It's two things.
Mm,
They listen, they will in like what?
okay. What? I'm listening now.
Education and good credit. Ooh, baby, if you got those two, if you know how to
Mm,
manage that credit and you got you some education, and I'm not saying it don't always have to be a degree because people could just read and educate themselves. Okay, let me just put a pin in there. You could be an educated person because whenever you crack a book open and start reading and learning, that sharpens your mind as well. So you could be a person that has a great knowledge in an area because you studied yourself approved and you read and you study. But it's also good to sit under somebody who also is that's sharp in that area too. But what I'm saying is somebody with some great knowledge and good credit. And I tell them, take care of your credit. Don't share your social security card, your number with nobody. And and manage just the one credit card. If you get one, just manage one. And I also tell them this: you can be you can accomplish $1 million by the age of 30 if you manage your money right. If
mm,
I had the know-hows that I know now when I was 21, if I had a
okay.
choice, Mr. Drummer, if I had a choice um to either be handed $1 million or to be 21 again with the knowledge that I have now, I would take
Okay.
be 21 with the knowledge I have now because I can make $1 million. I'm just
Whoa.
saying
Wow.
because of the
We had
knowledge
a
that
question.
huh? I'm sorry, say
We
it
had a
again.
question, and I
I'm sorry.
and I know you well, that's cool. That's I like that. I think I'd take 21, knowing well, that sounds good. Because you know how to avoid some hiccups. But one of the things I know you're involved in a women ministry. Can
Mm-hmm.
you just let us know a little bit about what that is? What's that about?
Yeah, Women in the Struggle is a nonprofit organization I started after I graduated from seminary. And basically, what we do, we reach out to homeless women and we reconnect them back into society. We have held women's empowerment, prayer breakfasts. We did even a job fair for the women back in
Mm,
several years ago. We did a job fair for them, and it was a 3-day job fair. It was the first one was the empowerment session we had to empower them that that you can be successful. The second was the dress for success, also resume preparation, and then the third one was the actual job fair, and that was a success as well.
mm,
We did a back to school drive for our homeless population, our homeless women and their children, and we did just the
okay.
undergarments. Everybody else got the shoes, they got the school supplies, but we provided the brand new undergarments for the young boys and girls, and this consists of socks, belts, underwear, t-shirts, brassieres, anything that consists of the undergarment, because when as a homeless child they want to feel confident and clean as well. So we touched areas that no one would ever touched, no one have ever touched,
Wow.
and so that was a great success as well. So basically that's what Women in the Struggle is doing. So right now We just doing referrals for persons that looking for housing, and we try to connect them with persons who have available space, that may have room for someone that may be trying to connect back into society. And we're working on some other things as well to grow the nonprofit, that we can just basically kick a hole in it and just start getting people off the street, start getting people counseled, because being in the street is traumatic. And so that counseling piece is definitely important, and then getting them some employment after they feel well and stable to be able to go back into the workforce.
Uh, is there a website or a contact number for
Well,
that?
well, absolutely. My telephone number, for women in the struggle, if they have any questions or concerns, or if they need anything, they can contact me directly. And my telephone number is 404-957-4742. And we try to connect them with whatever that need is. We try to connect them with it.
Okay. And is there an age limit for women, or how does that work?
Well, we prefer 21 and older for women. We don't.
Okay.
I don't work with the youth now. If there are youth that need help, I will connect them with that appropriate ministry to be able to reach out and help them.
Okay.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
Uh, you definitely loaded us up with a plethora of information when it comes down to credit restoration, um, and just how we can improve ourselves and finding out where we are. Um, if you could leave just a couple key golden nuggets, I know it'll be like a review, uh, but uh, share that with us for a second,
Ab-
for a minute or two.
Absolutely. If you feel yourself that may be struggling financially with credit card debt, remember, try not to be over 30 days. Try to stay within if you already crossed over that 30-day hurdle, or 60-day or 90 days, then at that point contact me. Okay, contact me,
Okay.
because we're gonna have to remove that off your we got to get it off your credit score. We're gonna have to remove that, because that's gonna stay on your credit for 7 years, and
Wow.
that will hold you back. So once it cross over 90 days, it's going to start reporting as a charge off. And so at this point, it is damaged. And so just if you want to just contact me, I can provide you a consultation, and we can go from there. But I want to forewarn people who are, almost at that level, contact the creditor to try to avoid it. Say, if you just tell them whatever the situation, however you got your situation, got in that situation or whatever, but just ask them if they can work with you so it does not hit your report for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. You want to make sure you maintain that. Pay the minimum balance if you have to, until you can get back above water. Then once you get back above water, try to pay $5 addition extra, $10 an extra, $20, just to get over that 30% percentile. Okay,
Hmm.
stay in communication with your with your creditor. Try to stay above the 30%. Contact your creditor and ask them, when is the closing statement date, so you will know, to make sure that you paying that extra money before the closing statement date, and then you'll watch your credit score begin to go up. I don't care, even if you trying to get above water, make sure you
Hmm.
get it in at least the day before the closing statement date, so you can start seeing your move, credit score um, move up. That is. Um, let's see, what else did I mention? Also, if you have any further questions, feel free and give me a call. My telephone number, my business is 762-795-0377. And I have my website here as well. I just put it up there, Brother Drummer.
Okay.
And let's see, and then my phone number. They can reach out, and we can schedule a consultation. Um, I will go over with them their credit report. Also, which is a good idea, is a credit monitoring service. I have one that you can sign up with through me. That credit monitoring service is so important. It's so important to have, because what it does is it monitors your social security number, your driver's license, to make
Hmm.
sure that no one is trying to compromise your identity. Okay, I got a
Wow.
call just the other day from American Express saying, Ms. Whatley, are you authorized? I said, absolutely, I'm not authorizing nothing. So they were able to catch it.
Mm.
And then a couple months ago, I got a notification saying that somebody was trying to run my driver's license through the dark web, and they caught it immediately. So these are the
Wow.
notifications that you will receive when you have a good credit monitoring service. And it is, and it is, and
Wow.
again, it is an investment to have, but it's worth it because it's investing in your financial future. Okay, so it's good to have, and also with this service, you'll be able to pull your credit, available to your three credit bureaus every 30 days.
Uh,
Every 30 days, you'll be able to
you
see.
got a couple of them that said they're gonna give you a call. What's up there, Miss Sharon Beasley T, the Honorable?
Yeah, give me a
Yeah.
call. Absolutely. Give me a call. And for your guests and your guests only, my fees, let me tell you this. My startup fee is 189 and $89 a
Mm.
month. However, for your viewer listeners, Brother Drummer, and you
Okay,
such a
what you
good
gonna do
guy,
for
you
us?
always, and because you always reaching out to the community and helping the community, for your audience, it would be only $99 to start and $50 a month. And again,
Wow.
my goal is to help you to succeed. Is to help you to succeed, is not to drain your pockets, but to help you succeed so you could go tell your friends and your family. You see what I'm saying? So I
Right.
just put that out there. Instead of 189 is $99 to start, and instead of $89 a month, it'll be $50 a month, just for your listening
Oh,
audience. Just for
oh,
your
that's
listening
awesome.
audience.
Also, okay.
Yes.
Yes. Uh, Product
And that's
code.
much
We are
important.
ready. Just cause you
Yeah.
part of the We Are Ready audience. Yes. But we
Yeah.
definitely thinking we got to bring you back again, Ms. Watley.
Absolutely.
We do a whole lot of things, and I encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe over here at Square Mile Media Atlanta. Get the notifications and many programs that we have here. And we want to get those subscribers up, those likes up, a lot of chats, things of that nature. Also, I encourage you to stay ready at all times. When we come over here, we'll talk about a variety of things. Uh, and some things uh, are more important than others, but at the same time, um, when it comes down to your credit, it comes down to your debt ratio and things of that nature, that can determine so many things: where you live, what type of food, insurance, all this type of stuff. We have people paying so much uh, for housing. I had a guy that was being relocated out of his apartment complex,
Mm,
and he had been there a couple years, and because of his credit, they redid his thing and charged him more money.
mm,
So credit affects so much. So if you can do something about your credit score, if you can do something about your situation, be proactive. Be proactive. And I want to share a stay ready tip. Uh, Stay ready at all times. We are in a situation. Prepare yourselves. Look out for each other. Continue to pray, fast, meditate, and strategize. And this is Reginald Drummer, the peopleologist, and we love you, and
yeah.
we'll share with you those things that are necessary to keep you ready and prepared. You might not be ready for everything, but at least you won't be a poster child for not being aware. So, with that being said, we'll see you next week. Take care. Thank you, Miss Watley. Uh, be at peace, and peace and blessings, my sister.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Okay.